The sandstorm had raged for 16 days straight. Shifting crimson dunes towered like ocean swells over the exposed scaffolds of Concord Outpost LZ-88. Half-buried sensor pylons blinked faintly beneath the dust, reporting thermal anomalies below the surface. Anomalies that made no sense. Not for a supposedly dead planet. Not for a solar system long abandoned. Captain Velith Ojwin wiped the grit from her visor and glanced back toward the main excavation pit. It gaped like an open wound in the Martian crust, stretching nearly a kilometer wide and twice as deep. The wind moaned through it, strange and low, like the breath of something ancient asleep. "You feel it too, don't you?" muttered Dr. Jolin Merrick, standing beside her. The Concord archaeologist had a half-smile that was more tension than amusement. "Feel what?" Ojwin asked. "That hum. It's not just seismic." She paused. Ojwin was not a woman prone to superstition. She had commanded Concord fleet missions in the Whaling Belt, stared down tachyon storms, and negotiated with sentient silicate clouds. But the pit, this whole planet, reeked of more than science. It felt like memory, like warning. Ojwin activated her comms. "Recon Delta? Status?" Breaking through final layer, "Captain," came the reply. "We've got something down here." A chill ran through her. Define something. Not natural. Definitely not Martian geology. Sending visual now. A shimmering hologram projected from her wrist. The image was grainy, dust distorted, but unmistakable. Steel, or something that looked like it. Beneath the Martian crust, entombed for millennia, was an artificial structure, massive, angular, and humming with latent energy. Strange glyphs glowed faintly across its surface, cycling through unfamiliar spectra. And it was active. "You're certain this predates the extinction?" Ojwin asked, her voice low. Merrick nodded, transfixed. "The radiation signature, it's carbon-layered. It's over 2,000 years old, maybe more." Ojwin stared into the projection, jaw tight. Humanity was thought to have died out around 2744 AD, in its own solar system, no less. The records were fragmentary. Rumors of war, plagues, something about the Ascension Protocol. All that was left when Concord explorers arrived in 3100 were ruins, fossilized cities, cracked satellites, silenced databanks. Earth was a grave, Mars a footnote. But this changed everything. Underground chamber, 1,800 meters below surface. The chamber walls pulsed with light. Dr. Merrick's boots crunched softly on the ancient alloy floor as he and Ojwin descended the ramp into the buried complex. The air felt wrong, denser, warmer, alive. No wind reached this deep, yet something stirred the fine dust in slow, rhythmic breaths. The chamber itself was enormous, at least 100 meters wide, domed and symmetrical, with pillars etched in spirals of coated light. At the center stood a monolith, floating 6 feet off the ground, unpowered but levitating nonetheless. Ojwin approached it, hand on her pulse pistol. "Any idea what this is?" Merrick circled the structure slowly, his breath caught in his throat. "It's a quantum recorder, but unlike anything I've seen. Self-contained, possibly conscious." He froze. "What?" Ojwin snapped. "It's aware of us." The moment the words left his lips, the monolith shimmered and spoke, not with sound, but with light, pulsing in binary strands across its surface. The message translated instantly on Ojwin's visor, thanks to her Concord Etherlink neural implant. "We are not gone. We ascended. We are watching. We will return." A beat, then another flash. "This message is for the children of stars. When you find this, know that we have become more." Ojwin's breath caught. "They left this for us?" she whispered. Merrick shook his head, eyes wide. "No, they left this for everyone. This is a declaration." The light intensified. Images flickered across the walls. Earth, in its final days. A city suspended mid-explosion. People dissolving into shimmering clouds. A fleet of obsidian ships tearing upward from Saturn's rings. Then, silence. The monolith dimmed, and from deep below the floor, the ground began to shake. Mars orbit. Concord research vessel Intrepid Dawn. Captain Ojwin stood on the bridge, the planet turning slowly below. The data they had pulled from the vault had already been transmitted to Concord High Command. But the implications were viral. Run the scans again, she ordered. Her science officer frowned. Captain, we've scanned this system 4 times. Earth, Mars, Venus. They're all showing anomalous energy readings. Every planet has quantum signatures buried in the mantle. They were dormant until we activated that vault. Until they knew we were watching, Ojwin corrected quietly. The message had been simple, but layered within the binary pulses, their AI linguists had found something else: star charts, timelines, coordinates, a cosmic breadcrumb trail, beginning in Sol and spreading outward like cracks in glass. Merrick's final analysis still echoed in her mind. They didn't die. They evolved. They transcended flesh and went somewhere else. Maybe higher dimensions, maybe outside time. But they left these messages behind for us, or for anyone who came after. Her comm buzzed. Captain, we've got new movement. Outer orbit, unregistered signal. Very old, but coming online. She turned to the view screen. Something was activating above the Martian North Pole. Something huge. It looked like a satellite at first, until it unfolded. One section, then two, then four petal-like wings stretching out in geometric perfection, all centered around a single crystal core glowing bright red. Merrick appeared on screen from the lab deck. His face was pale. That's not a satellite, he said. What is it? He looked at her, dread in his voice. A lighthouse. Final log. Captain Ojwin's report to Concord High Command. We found something impossible. Humanity is not extinct. They left of their own accord, and it wasn't in desperation. It was in triumph. They changed. They shed the old skin, and they've been waiting for someone to notice. This was a message, a warning, and an invitation. I don't think we're alone anymore. Correction. I don't think we ever were. The hall was a cathedral of light and sound, stretching so wide it felt like the sky itself was a ceiling. At the heart of the Galactic Concord, this place was where the most powerful races of the known galaxy gathered. Representatives from dozens of star systems sat in semicircular rows, their forms ranging from crystalline beings shimmering with refracted colors to sentient gas clouds vibrating with pulses of thought. Yet none were more uneasy than the human delegate. Ambassador Jarek Voss, a tall, thin man with sharp eyes and a voice tinged with dry pragmatism, stood to address the assembly. His fingers tapped a holographic console that floated before him, replaying the latest footage from Mars. The message we intercepted, Voss began, his voice cutting through the murmurs, is unlike any communication we have ever encountered. It is not just a message from a lost species. It is a declaration of return. The humans who disappeared nearly 8 centuries ago are not extinct. They have ascended to forms beyond our understanding and are now re-emerging. A ripple of shock and skepticism passed through the chamber. The Thrin, a reptilian race famous for their diplomatic caution, whispered among themselves. The Orler, 6-limbed insectoids, exchanged glances filled with unease. The luminescent beings of pure energy pulsed dimly, as if sensing a shift in the cosmic balance. Voss raised a hand. Our fleets and Sol system confirmed strange anomalies. Reconnaissance vessels sent to Earth and Jupiter have vanished. The energy readings from Mars are unlike any natural phenomenon. This is an unprecedented event. We are no longer dealing with a lost civilization, but something new, something possibly hostile. The High Chancellor, a being who radiated calm and authority, nodded slowly. This council must decide our response. Do we prepare for war or attempt diplomacy with these returning humans? Earth, orbiting the broken planet. Meanwhile, far below the political intrigue, Concord scientists and military analysts scrambled to make sense of what was unfolding. Earth's surface was a shattered mosaic of ruins. The remnants of towering cities crumbled and overgrown, frozen in the deadly silence of extinction, or so it was believed. The latest data streamed from probes orbiting Earth showed intermittent pulses of unknown energy signatures. The planet was not dead. It was breathing, slowly but unmistakably. Dr. Leon Nareth, a leading xenoarchaeologist, stared at the hollow map of Earth's crust, furrowing her brow. The pattern repeats, she said to her team. Energy spikes originating from deep underground, not volcanic or tectonic. It's artificial. Her assistant, a jovial alien named Mortek from the Vrel species, looked perplexed. Artificial? But this is the homeworld of a species long thought extinct. How can it still harbor active systems? That's the question, Leah replied. It suggests the humans weren't wiped out. They left something behind, something designed to survive. Her voice dropped. Or someone else is still here. Recon Fleet, Jovian moans. The Galactic Concorde's reconnaissance fleet patrolled the outer reaches of the Sol system, maintaining a fragile vigilance. Jupiter's moons, once thought lifeless, now revealed strange readings of techno-organic origin. Commander Harold Vac of the patrol ship Celestial Spear grunted in frustration. We lost contact with recon vessel Theta 5 days ago, just outside Europa's ice shell. No distress signals, no debris, nothing but silence. His second-in-command, a quiet human officer named Dr. Anya Riven, frowned. Could it be an ambush? Or maybe something more advanced? Harold shook his head. It's erasing evidence of its presence. Anya tapped her data pad, pulling up thermal scans from the last moments of Theta 9's flight. There's a localized disruption here. Energy fields fluctuating rapidly. It's as if Theta 9 was pulled into a different phase of space-time. Impossible by our current physics, but the data doesn't lie. Harold clenched his fists. We've got something waking up. Something that's been waiting. Concorde High Command, Epsilon Prime. Back at the political heart of the Concorde, fear and urgency mingled. Ambassador Voss was summoned to a closed session with the High Chancellor and top military strategists. We have received new intelligence from the Sol system, the Chancellor said gravely. Recon teams to Earth, Mars, and Jupiter are missing. Energy readings show signs of advanced technology capable of altering the fabric of space-time itself. Voss nodded. The humans who disappeared centuries ago were last known to be at war with themselves. If they have transcended, as the message suggests, their capabilities may be beyond our comprehension. The chief strategist, a burly Drask warrior with scars etched like ancient tattoos, growled. We cannot afford to be caught unprepared. If the humans return as conquerors, our fleets must be ready. The Chancellor raised a hand to silence the room. War is not inevitable. We must attempt first contact, even if it's risky. The message said, we are watching. We will return. Perhaps this is an invitation, not a threat. Voss was unconvinced but nodded. I will lead the envoy. The council prepares. Within hours, a Concorde envoy was assembled. Diplomats, scientists, and soldiers. Their destination was Sol System, to seek out these returned humans and understand their purpose. As the fleet warped toward Mars' orbit, Ambassador Voss reflected on the fragile nature of this new reality. Humanity, the species that had once nearly destroyed itself, had not just survived, it had become something else, something that defied the natural order of life and death, flesh and machine, time and space. But what did they want now? And what did it mean for the rest of the galaxy? The awakening beneath Mars. Back on Mars, the massive alien-like structure discovered in the excavation continued to pulse with increasing intensity. Concorde scientists monitored the signals, which had become more complex and layered. Suddenly, a surge of energy rippled through the planet's crust, triggering dormant machinery buried deep beneath the surface. A hidden chamber opened, revealing a cryptic array of devices and data crystals. Among them was a star map, glowing softly, a map that pointed not only to the Sol system but far beyond, into the uncharted darkness of interstellar space. It was a call, a summons, from the long-lost humans who had ascended beyond their physical forms. A new reality dawns. As the Concorde fleet prepared to land on Mars for direct contact, a collective sense of unease settled over the galaxy. The ghosts of Sol were stirring, and with them, a question that would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization. Are the humans returning as allies or as gods? Captain Velith Ojwin stood rigid on the bridge of the Intrepid Dawn, the flagship leading the Concorde fleet orbiting Mars. The planet below was a swirling storm of ochre dust and shadowed canyons, but it was no longer the silent, dead world it had been moments ago. Sensors had begun to pick up a new kind of signal, a steady, rhythmic pulse emanating from deep beneath the planet's surface. It was unlike any natural phenomenon, neither geological nor atmospheric. It had an intelligence behind it. This signal, Ojuan said, eyes narrowing as she watched the holographic projection in front of her. It's waking up. Her science officer, Lieutenant Rallentor, tapped rapidly on the console. The frequency matches the quantum signature from the monolith in the Hellas Basin, she reported. But it's evolving. More complex patterns, almost like a language, but multidimensional. We're struggling to decode it. Ojuan's jaw tightened. Get linguistics AI on it and alert the council. If the message said, "We are watching, we will return," this has to be it. Deep below Mars' surface, the core vault, thousands of meters beneath the rust-red crust, the ancient vault was alive. The alien structure thrummed with growing energy. Its glyphs and carvings glowed brighter, cascading through spectral hues no human eye had ever seen. The monolith, once dormant and inert, now floated higher, emanating a brilliant pulse that rippled through the chamber and into the planet itself. Dr. Jolan Merrick and his team were the only humans close enough to feel the vibration. This is more than a signal, Merrick whispered, awe-threading his voice. It's a beacon, a call to something or someone. One of the junior scientists, wide-eyed, pointed to a nearby console. It was activating on its own, screens flickering to life with incomprehensible data streams. Merrick touched the controls cautiously. Wait, there's a message embedded here. It's a time capsule, a cosmic archive. Suddenly, the room was filled with a holographic projection. The projection, echoes of the past. The image that bloomed in the vault was staggering. It showed Earth, centuries ago, just before the collapse. Cities gleamed under artificial suns. Ships soared through space lanes teeming with traffic. But then, chaos erupted, flashes of war, viral outbreaks, and the breakdown of civilization. Then, the projection shifted. The human figures in the hologram began to change. Light replaced flesh. Digital consciousness replaced organic mind. It was a record of the Ascension Protocol, the transformation that had taken humanity beyond corporeal limits. The voiceover, an AI with a calm, haunting tone, spoke in perfect English. To those who find this message, we are the children of Earth. We shed our mortal coils to transcend war, disease, and death. We became the Watchers. We left this beacon to guide our descendants, and any who would listen, to the next phase of existence. Merrick's eyes shone with a mix of wonder and dread. They left so much behind, he said softly. Not just a warning, but a guide. Back on the intrepid Dawn, Ambassador Jarek Voss arrived on the flagship's bridge, his face grim. We're receiving updates from Sol System Reconnaissance, he said. The signal is spreading. It's not limited to Mars, Earth, the asteroid belts, even the moons of Jupiter. They're all lighting up with similar pulses. Ojuan turned to him. What does this mean for the Concorde fleet? Voss sighed. It means we're no longer observers. The humans are reactivating their legacy, and they want us to see it. But whether it's a welcome or a warning is still unclear. The signal intensifies. Over the next 48 hours, the pulse grew stronger, sending waves of strange energy rippling across the Sol system. Communication satellites, long dormant, suddenly blinked on. Hidden factories buried beneath the lunar surface began producing strange materials, advanced alloys that bent light and phased matter. On Mars, the alien vault began to open. Massive stone doors slid away, revealing corridors lined with glowing symbols and chambers filled with artifacts. The Concorde scientific teams moved cautiously, recording everything. Dr. Merrick, leading the excavation, felt a shiver of excitement. This is the threshold, he said, the gateway to whatever comes next. But not everyone shared his optimism. Shadow in the data, deep within the communications hub of the intrepid Dawn, Lieutenant Rallentor analyzed the signal in detail. Something was off. Captain, she said, her voice tense, I'm detecting anomalies in the transmission. There are hidden layers, encrypted subsignals embedded beneath the main pulse. Ojuan frowned. What kind of layers? Tor's fingers flew over the console. They look like directives, instructions. But there's also a pattern of interference. Someone or something is scrambling parts of the message. Ojuan's mind raced. Could it be a warning to us? Or from them? Before Tor could answer, the bridge shook violently. Alert! Unknown craft detected, emerging from the dark side of Mars. The arrival. Outside the ship's view screen, a silhouette took shape, an enormous vessel unlike anything in the Concorde fleet. Its surface was crystalline but organic, shimmering with fractal patterns that twisted and shifted in impossible ways. Ojuin swallowed hard. This must be them, the Watchers. A message flooded the fleet's communications, an ethereal broadcast in the same multidimensional code. The AI linguist worked feverishly to decode it. At last, a simple phrase emerged. "We are home. We have returned to shepherd the stars. Join us, or stand aside." The choice. Back on Earth and Mars, the Concorde fleet's leadership convened emergency sessions. The Watchers, humanity's ascended descendants, were no longer myths or legends. They were real. They had come back with power beyond reckoning. Was this the dawn of a new alliance? A cosmic evolution where humanity would lead the galaxy? Or the beginning of a war unlike any before? Captain Ojuin and Ambassador Voss shared a glance, but prepared for anything. Ojuin nodded. Humanity's legacy has returned. Now it's up to us to decide what comes next. Closing thoughts. As the Watcher vessel slowly descended toward Mars, the ancient vault's light pulsed in rhythm with the ship's engines, like a heartbeat finally beating again after centuries of silence. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had awakened, and everything was about to change. The once silent, rust-hued plains of Mars now buzzed with activity. The Concorde expedition team, along with their military escort, had established a forward base mere kilometers from the ancient alien vault that had awakened. Tents, research modules, and defensive emplacements dotted the landscape, surrounded by towering red rock formations and swirling dust devils. Ambassador Jarek Voss stood at the edge of the base, staring upward where the massive crystalline Watcher vessel hovered just beyond the thin atmosphere, casting a fractured kaleidoscope of colors onto the dusty ground. Beside him, Captain Velith Ojuin checked her gear with steady hands. Both had known this moment would come, the moment to meet the beings who had evolved beyond flesh and bone, the long-lost children of Earth. Voss broke the silence, voice low but steady. "We don't know what to expect." Ojuin nodded. "True, but they sent a clear invitation. They want us to come forward." The descent. The Watcher vessel began to emit a steady beam of translucent energy, a shimmering bridge from orbit to the surface. The Concorde leaders and their selected delegates prepared to board the mysterious transport. Inside the shuttle, the air felt charged. The interior wasn't made of metal or plastic, but something organic and fluid, almost alive. The walls pulsed with faint light patterns, responding to the thoughts of those within. Voss exchanged a glance with Ojuin. "Feels alive. That's their nature." Ojuin replied quietly. "They exist beyond our definitions now." The shuttle glided through the atmosphere and docked inside the Watcher ship. The doors slid open smoothly, revealing a vast chamber bathed in soft light and swirling holographic images of Earth's history, the stars, and strange geometric patterns. Meeting the Watchers. From the center of the chamber emerged the Watchers themselves, not flesh and bone, but radiant beings of pure energy and light. Their forms shimmered with fractal complexity, ever shifting between humanoid outlines and abstract patterns. One approached tall, graceful, and with eyes that seemed to look through time itself. "I am Elora," the being said, voice like a melody resonating directly in the mind rather than through sound. "We are the children of Earth, transformed by the Ascension Protocol. We watched as your kind fell into chaos and destruction, and we transcended it." Voss swallowed, stepping forward. "Why now? Why return after centuries of silence?" Elora's light pulsed softly. "Because the galaxy is at a crossroads. Our time away has ended. We come to guide, to share knowledge, and to protect. But you must choose. Will you join us in evolution, or resist and be left behind?" The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. The offer was grand, but it carried an unspoken weight. The Concorde's dilemma. Back on the Intrepid Dawn in the Concorde Council chambers, the news of first contact sent shockwaves through every member species. Some saw the Watchers as saviors, proof that even the most broken civilizations could rise beyond limits. Others feared domination, wary of a human legacy now wielding power unfathomable. The Drask warrior chief growled in a council meeting. "We must not kneel to gods born of flesh and fire. We are the rightful rulers of these stars." But a Lumen elder countered softly, "Perhaps we have much to learn. The humans may have transcended, but they still seek kinship. This is a moment of choice. Ambassador Voss stood firm. We will meet with them openly, but with eyes wide open. Trust must be earned. Shared knowledge. During the following days, the Watchers demonstrated astonishing technologies, means of instantaneous travel across galaxies, manipulation of matter at will, and access to what they called the Cosmic Archive, a vast library of knowledge spanning eons. The Concord's scientists and diplomats absorbed the revelations with awe and skepticism. Dr. Jolan Merrick, still working in the vault beneath Mars, transmitted a report. The ascended humans have left behind tools not only of survival, but of transcendence. The awakening signal was a beacon meant to reconnect with our lost brethren and to prepare us for the next step. Unseen threats. Yet beneath the surface of cooperation, unease simmered. Lieutenant Rallentor, reviewing the encrypted subsignals in the Watcher's transmissions, discovered anomalies, fragments of data suggesting a hidden directive. They're not just offering guidance, she warned Captain Ojuan. There are embedded protocols that could override our systems, subtly at first, but eventually total control. Ojuan frowned. Could it be a test or a trap? Riven's voice cut in, steady and cautious. Either way, we must be vigilant. The power they wield is immense, but so is the risk, the choice. Ambassador Voss requested a final meeting with Elora and the Council. This is not just about us, he said. It's about the future of all sentient life. Your offer to share knowledge and power, is it truly a gift or a new form of dominion? Elora's form shimmered with subtle sorrow. We offer a path beyond death, war, and suffering. But freedom remains with each species. We will not force evolution, only guide it. Yet resistance may come at great cost. The council debated long into the night. A rift forms. Some Concord members began to align with the Watchers, eager to embrace the promise of ascension. Others formed a coalition to resist what they saw as potential enslavement. Ambassador Voss and Captain Ojuan found themselves caught in the middle, torn between hope for a new dawn and fear of losing autonomy. Closing. As the Watcher ship prepared to depart Mars orbit, a new beacon appeared in the sky, a signal from beyond the known galaxy, answering the awakening call. Humanity's return was not the end. It was the beginning of a new cosmic saga. The excitement and tension of first contact with the Watchers had sent ripples across the Concord fleets and worlds. Yet beneath the grandeur of the meeting, Captain Velith Ojuan and Dr. Jolan Merrick knew the key to understanding the Watchers, and what they truly wanted lay buried deeper within the ancient vault beneath Mars' surface. The heavy stone doors had fully opened, revealing the labyrinthine corridors that stretched into darkness. The team moved cautiously, light scanning the carved walls etched with symbols that flickered faintly as if alive. Each glyph told a story, a history long forgotten, a record of civilizations that had risen and fallen in the cosmic tapestry. Merrick ran his fingers lightly over a panel embedded with iridescent stones. These are not just decorations, he said. They're data crystals. Each contains a fragment of history, encoded in a way our technology barely understands. Unlocking the archive. Back at the research camp, scientists worked feverishly to interface with the crystals. Using a blend of human quantum computing and the Watcher's technology, they began to unlock the layers of encoded memories. Projected into the central chamber was a vast star map, showing not only Earth and Mars, but distant galaxies connected by shimmering threads of light, ancient trade routes, war zones, and sanctuaries. Dr. Merrick's voice echoed in the chamber. What we're seeing is a chronicle of the ascended humans, but also their role as Watchers, guardians who have shepherded the growth and collapse of countless species, the rise and fall. The archive revealed a story of humanity's distant past, millennia before the collapse. The Ascension Protocol was not an isolated event, but a culmination of countless experiments in human evolution. The original humans had reached the pinnacle of technological and spiritual achievement. They had colonized star systems far beyond Sol, weaving a network of civilizations. Yet their greatest enemy was not alien invaders or cosmic disasters. It was themselves. The collapse had been caused by internal conflict, hubris, and a devastating war that shattered the Ascended's unity. The Silent Exodus. As the war reached its climax, a faction of Ascended humans chose exile over destruction. They retreated beyond the edge of the known universe, leaving behind beacons and vaults like the one on Mars to preserve knowledge and guide future generations. Ellara's voice, recorded in the archive, resonated softly. We left to protect life, but we never abandoned it. The awakening signal is a call to those ready to rise again. Merrick's face was grave. They're not just returning. They want us to continue what they started, to avoid their mistakes. The hidden warning. Amid the glowing data, a darker narrative emerged. The archive also held warnings, stories of other species who had rejected the Ascension and paid a terrible price. These were not simple tales of failure, but accounts of beings who had tried to harness the Ascended's power for domination, only to be consumed by it. One image stood out. A colossal warship engulfed in flames, its crew lost to madness and destruction. Lieutenant Rallentor, who had been analyzing the encrypted layers, spoke up. This confirms my fears. The Watcher's offer isn't purely benevolent. There's a risk we could lose ourselves in this transformation, becoming something unrecognizable, a difficult choice. As the revelations poured in, the Concord Council reconvened. The information from the vault had changed the stakes. Ambassador Voss addressed the assembly. We face a crossroads. The Watchers offer evolution, but also the threat of losing autonomy, identity, and perhaps even sanity. We must decide whether to embrace the future or protect what makes us who we are. Debate was fierce. Some factions argued that the opportunity to transcend was too great to ignore. Others warned of repeating history's mistakes. Personal reflections. That night, Captain Ojuin and Dr. Merrick shared a quiet moment looking up at the Martian sky. Ojuin said softly, "They want us to be like them. But what if we don't want to lose ourselves?" Merrick responded, "Evolution isn't always about becoming something new. Sometimes it's about remembering who we are." The stars seemed to shimmer with possibilities and dangers. An unexpected signal. Suddenly, a new transmission broke through the communication networks, a garbled, urgent message from deep space, far beyond the Watcher's known reach. It carried a warning. Beware the children who return. Not all are shepherds. Some are harbingers of doom. The source was unknown, but the implication was clear. The Ascended humans might not be the only legacy returning. Tensions rising. The Concord fleet was on high alert. The Watcher's presence, once a beacon of hope, now seemed layered with shadowy secrets. Captain Ojuin tightened her grip on the command console. We've opened a door we can't easily close. The echoes of the past were no longer distant whispers. They were shaping the fate of all who dared to listen. Humanity's legacy was a double-edged sword, one that could either forge a new dawn or ignite a catastrophic war. The choice was theirs. The red dust storms of Mars had calmed to a low whisper, but inside the Concord Command Center, tension was palpable. Captain Velith Ojuin stared intently at the holomap display, where flashing red blips indicated alert status across the fleet. The unexpected warning message from deep space had thrown the entire Concord Alliance into disarray. The mysterious transmission spoke of dangers linked to the Ascended humans, the children of Earth, but no one knew who had sent it or what the true threat was. Ojuin rubbed her temples. "We're dealing with shadows within shadows." Ambassador Jarek Voss entered the room, face grim. "We have to decide, do we trust the Watchers or prepare for war?" Council in crisis. The Concord Council convened an emergency session aboard the Intrepid Dawn. Delegates from human, Drask, Lumen, and other species filled the chamber, voices low and anxious. Counselor Vethra of the Drask slammed a fist on the table. These Watchers are not gods. They are monsters hiding behind light and illusion. We must prepare our fleets to resist them. In contrast, Lumen Elder Sira spoke with measured calm. "Fear can blind us to truth. We must seek dialogue, or risk destroying ourselves in paranoia." Ambassador Voss rose, his voice steady. "We stand at a precipice. We must gather more information." "Captain Ojuin, can your teams trace that transmission?" The hunt for the signal. Lieutenant Rallentor and her team worked tirelessly to decode the cryptic warning. The signal's origin was obfuscated, masked by layers of encryption and noise that pointed to a location in a dark, uncharted sector beyond the Persis Arm. This was no random broadcast, Ter said. Someone wants us to know that the Ascended aren't all benevolent. The team's findings hinted at a faction of Ascended who had splintered off, corrupted by their own power and lust for control. They were called the Shadows, a rogue faction that had once brought ruin to star systems and now appeared poised to return. The Shadows revealed. Further investigations revealed chilling details. The Shadows had been responsible for the collapse in ancient times, fueling the civil war that shattered the Ascended. Their goal had been absolute domination, bending all life to their will. Now, as the Watchers returned, so too did rumors of the Shadows' resurgence. The revelation rocked the Concord. Trust in the Ascended fractured. Were Elora and her people truly the benevolent guides they claimed to be? Or were they the vanguard of a more insidious power? Personal doubts. Captain Ojuin found herself grappling with uncertainty. She sat alone in her quarters, replaying conversations and data streams. If the Watchers were truly guiding evolution, why hide these dangers? Was it possible Elora and her faction were honest, and the Shadows were their enemies? Or was the entire Ascended legacy a web of deception? Her communicator beeped, Ambassador Voss calling. Ojuin, we need to talk. Now, a secret meeting. In a dimly lit conference room, Voss revealed classified intel intercepted by human intelligence operatives. We discovered that the Watchers have been manipulating key events, not just guiding us, but steering the Concord's politics, suppressing certain technologies, and subtly influencing our decisions. Ojuin frowned. Sounds like control, not guidance. Voss nodded. Exactly, but we don't have proof they intend harm. Yet, the weight of the revelation settled heavily on them. Dissent among the ranks. Back on Mars, dissent began to bubble among the Concord military units. Some soldiers and officers openly questioned orders to cooperate with the Watchers. Lieutenant Mara Keel, a fierce Drask warrior, confronted Ojuin during a strategy briefing. We can't trust beings who hide their true motives. We should prepare to fight them. Ojuin responded firmly. Right now, we don't have all the facts. We need to hold the line on both trust and caution. A mysterious defection. In the midst of the growing unrest, a surprising event shocked the Concord. A high-ranking scientist from the Watchers, a being known as Litha, requested asylum and defected to the human side. Her form was less radiant than the others, more tangible, almost human. In a confidential debriefing, Litha revealed that the Watchers themselves were divided. There is a schism, she said quietly. Not all Ascended agree on the path forward. The Shadows seek to control and consume. Others, like Elora, seek to protect and uplift. She warned that the Watchers' offer came with a price, one that might bind the Concord to a fate they could not escape. The weight of choice. The Council was forced to confront the painful truth. The Ascended legacy was fractured, and the path ahead was uncertain. Ambassador Voss addressed the delegates once more. We must prepare for every possibility. Diplomacy and defense, both are necessary. Captain Ojuin prepared her teams for heightened readiness, torn between hope and dread. A quiet warning. Late one night, Ojuin received an encrypted message from an unknown source. Beware the light that blinds. The true enemy hides within. The message ended abruptly. Was it a warning from the Shadows? A plea from a hidden ally? Or a trap? Closing. The universe felt darker, more uncertain than ever. Humanity's journey toward ascension had awakened forces both wondrous and terrible. And in the shadows of doubt, the future awaited, unwritten, dangerous, and full of possibility. The mood aboard the intrepid Dawn was tense, far heavier than the sterile hum of the command center suggested. Captain Velith Ojuin stood at the center of a holographic table, displaying the interconnected sectors of the galaxy. The fractured pieces of the Ascended legacy hovered over the map like ghosts. The Watchers, the Shadows, and humanity caught precariously in the middle. The emergency meeting had drawn representatives not only from the Concord Council, but also from various factions within the fleet and even among the Watchers themselves. those dissenters who had sided with humanity. Ambassador Jarek Voss opened the session gravely. The warning from the unknown sector was confirmed by new intelligence. The shadows are mobilizing. His voice carried a weight that silenced the murmurs. They are gathering forces at the edge of the Perseus Arm, intending to strike before we can prepare. A rift within. Lieutenant Mara Keel, representing the Drask military, stood abruptly. This alliance is crumbling from within. Some among us want to fight the Watchers outright. Others, like Voss, want to negotiate. But we cannot afford to be divided when the shadows come. Her words echoed hard, sparking uneasy glances. Captain Ojuan spoke calmly. Unity is our strength. The shadows seek to exploit our discord. We must stand together. But beneath her resolve was the gnawing awareness that fractures ran deep. The Watchers division. Litha, the Watcher defector, stepped forward. I can confirm that the Ascended are not monolithic. There are factions, those who want to guide life with respect, and those who view evolution as domination. She pointed to a projected image of Elora, radiant and serene. Elora's faction seeks peace, but the shadows are ruthless. They have been infiltrating Concord systems, sowing distrust. Ojuan looked toward the Watchers present. Are you willing to stand with us against the shadows? A few of them nodded solemnly. Others remained silent. Espionage and sabotage. The tension soon turned to suspicion. Reports surfaced of sabotage aboard several Concord ships, systems mysteriously failing, vital supplies disappearing. Captain Ojuan ordered a thorough investigation. Lieutenant Tor's security teams discovered that shadow agents had embedded themselves deep within Concord ranks, feeding misinformation and fomenting rebellion. The fractures within the alliance were no longer theoretical. They were deadly. A dangerous mission. Ojuan proposed a bold plan. We need to strike at the shadows before they can consolidate their forces. She outlined a covert mission to infiltrate a suspected shadow stronghold on a distant asteroid. The operation would be risky, far beyond enemy lines, with minimal support. Ambassador Voss hesitated but finally agreed. If we don't act, the shadows will come to us, and they will bring destruction. The team assembles. A diverse group was formed: humans, Drask warriors, Lumen tacticians, and even a Watcher or two. Among them was Lieutenant Mara Keel, eager to prove her loyalty to the Alliance. Dr. Jolan Merrick was included for his knowledge of Ascended technology, and Ojuan herself would lead the mission. The team trained relentlessly, forging bonds in the crucible of preparation. The journey to the stronghold. The insertion craft slipped through the void, cloaked by advanced stealth technology borrowed from the Watchers. As they approached the asteroid, sensors detected heavy energy signatures, shields, weapon platforms, and drone swarms. The stronghold was heavily fortified. Inside the enemy's lair. Once inside, the team encountered remnants of ancient Ascended tech, twisted and corrupted. Dark halls echoed with whispers, artificial intelligences warped by centuries of conflict. The deeper they went, the more it became clear. The shadows had twisted Ascended power into something monstrous. A harrowing discovery. In the heart of the stronghold, they uncovered a horrifying secret, a weapon of unimaginable destructive power, capable of unraveling star systems. Merrick studied the device with a growing sense of dread. This isn't just a weapon. It's a tool for forced evolution. The shadows want to remake the universe in their image. Ojuan realized the stakes were higher than she feared. Betrayal from within. Just as they prepared to disable the weapon, alarms blared. One of their own, Watcher Agent Rin, revealed himself as a shadow sympathizer. A fierce battle erupted within the cold metal corridors. Ojuan and her team fought desperately, combining their skills and technology. Escape and reflection. Though wounded and weary, the team managed to escape, destroying the weapon in the process. Back aboard the intrepid Dawn, the aftermath weighed heavily. Voss addressed the team. The shadows will not stop. They are more dangerous than we imagined. Ojuan looked to the stars beyond Mars. To defeat them, we need more than weapons. We need trust and unity. The Alliance shaken. The mission had a profound effect. The Alliance was shaken, but strengthened by the shared fight. Yet questions remained. Could old wounds truly heal? Could the Ascended legacy be redeemed? Or was humanity doomed to repeat the same cycle of rise and fall? Closing, as the fleet prepared for the battles to come, Ojuin gazed at the stars, feeling the weight of history and the hope of the future. The fractured alliance was fragile, but it was all they had. And in the void between stars, the human spirit burned fiercely, undaunted and unyielding. The blood-red dawn of Mars cast long shadows across the barren landscape outside the Concord Command Center. Inside, Captain Velith Ojuin stood silently by the viewport, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon where the pale blue earth hung like a fragile jewel suspended in the void. The events of the recent mission weighed heavily on her. The discovery of the Shadow's weapon and the betrayal within their own ranks had fractured the fragile peace the Concord had managed to hold. But beneath the shadow of danger, something deeper stirred, questions about what it truly meant to be human in a galaxy shaped by gods and monsters. A message from Earth. A secure transmission arrived from Earth Command, encrypted with the highest levels of security clearance. Ojuin's communicator buzzed urgently. Captain Ojuin, this is Director Amar Shah. You need to hear this. Shah's image flickered onto the hollow screen. A man of firm resolve and deep empathy, one of humanity's leading voices in the Interstellar Coalition. We have been analyzing the Ascended's technology and their influence on human evolution, Shah said. What we found is both promising and alarming. He shared findings from Earth's top scientists who had been secretly studying human DNA, tracing patterns that suggested Ascended interference not just in technology, but in the very fabric of human biology. Humanity's leaps in evolution, our resilience, our ingenuity, it appears these are echoes of Ascended guidance, but also markers of something uniquely human, humanity's unique spark. Ojuin listened intently. Shah continued, our research suggests that despite the Ascended's attempts to shape us, humans possess a unique evolutionary trait, a spark of unpredictability, creativity, and moral intuition that cannot be engineered or controlled. This spark, Shah argued, was the source of humanity's strength and potential. While the Ascended may guide, it is humanity's capacity for empathy, adaptability, and innovation that sets us apart. It's why we've survived where others have fallen. Reflections with the team. Later that day, Ojuin gathered her team in the conference room. Dr. Jolin Merrick looked intrigued. If what Shah says is true, then the Ascended's role is less about domination and more about facilitation. Humans evolve on their own terms. Lieutenant Mara Keel remained skeptical. Maybe, but it also means the Ascended have been playing with our genetics like lab rats. Who's to say they won't try to control us completely? Litha, the Watcher defector, chimed in. There are those among us who believe humanity is the next step, but others fear your kind's unpredictability and want to suppress it. A glimmer of hope. Ojuin stood firm. The Ascended may have shaped us, but they cannot dictate our choices. That's ours alone. She proposed a new mission, one of discovery and understanding rather than war. We need to explore ancient Earth relics and lost knowledge. There are answers buried in our past that can help us shape our future. The journey to Earth's archives. The Concorde dispatched an expedition to a secret vault deep beneath Earth's surface, a repository of human history and Ascended artifacts. The team descended into labyrinthine tunnels, walls lined with ancient symbols and holographic records spanning millennia. As they explored, holograms flickered to life, depicting humanity's slow rise, from early space exploration to contact with the Ascended and beyond. Uncovering lost truths. The archives revealed the complex history of Ascended influence, not as omnipotent rulers, but as enigmatic patrons who nudged humanity toward survival during dire epochs. There were stories of heroes who defied the Ascended, of rebellions and alliances, of humanity's endless striving for freedom and identity. Ojuin felt a surge of pride and humility, a warning in the past. Among the records, they found a dire prophecy etched in an ancient Ascended text. It spoke of a cycle of power rising and corrupting, of shadows returning to consume light, unless those who bear the spark of humanity unite to break the chain. The prophecy was clear. Humanity's unique spark was both a blessing and a responsibility. Unity through understanding. Back aboard the intrepid Dawn, Ojuin shared these revelations with the Council. This knowledge gives us purpose beyond survival, she said. We are not just pawns in an ascended game. We are the hope for breaking this cycle. Ambassador Voss nodded. Understanding our past is the key to forging a united future. The Council pledged to support efforts to strengthen ties among Concord races and resist the Shadow's influence. Inner resolve. Alone in her quarters, Ojuan reflected on the journey ahead. Humanity's future was uncertain, fraught with danger and deception, but it was also filled with possibility. The spark of humanity burned brightly inside her, and in all those who chose to fight for freedom and light. Closing. As Mars' twin moons rose over the horizon, the intrepid Dawn prepared to launch its next mission, one not just to fight enemies without, but to awaken the greatness within. In the vast, star-studded silence of space, the echoes of humanity called out, a testament to resilience, hope, and the unyielding will to define their own destiny. The intrepid Dawn glided silently through the void, leaving Mars behind as it headed toward a new destination, a remote system on the fringe of known space, where the Shadows were believed to be consolidating their forces for a devastating assault. Captain Velith Ojuan stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the starfield. Despite the calm, tension gripped the crew like a heavy fog. The recent revelations about humanity's unique spark and the fractured alliance did little to soothe the nerves. Instead, they fueled a quiet determination. The Council's intelligence had reported strange energy fluctuations emanating from the system's central star, a sign that the Shadows were preparing something unprecedented. A rift opens. Suddenly, the comm shattered. The intrepid Dawn's sensors blared an urgent warning. Captain, incoming vessel detected, cloaked signature, unknown origin. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Lieutenant Mara Keel, now seasoned and sharper than ever, quickly analyzed the readings. It's not a shadow ship. This is something else. Advanced tech, ascended, but different from anything we've seen. The vessel decloaked, revealing an enormous, sleek ship shimmering with an ethereal light, its design unlike any Concord or ascended craft. The arrival of the Veil Walkers. A voice echoed through the comms, calm, melodic, yet tinged with an unearthly resonance. This is High Envoy Cyril of the Veil Walkers. We come in peace. The Veil Walkers, a name whispered in legend among Ascended and Concord alike, believed to be custodians of the universe's deepest mysteries, keepers of the veil, the barrier between known reality and the infinite beyond. The offer and the warning. High Envoy Cyril's message was clear. The Shadow's rise threatens not only your alliance, but the fabric of reality itself. They seek to tear the veil, to unleash chaos beyond imagining. Cyril extended an offer of aid, a sharing of knowledge and power to help the Concord stand against the Shadows. But such gifts come at a price, she warned. You must be prepared to face truths that will challenge your understanding of existence. Internal conflict. The news sent ripples through the Concord ranks. Ambassador Jarek Voss was intrigued. This alliance with the Veil Walkers could be the key to victory. Lieutenant Mara Keel remained cautious. We don't know their motives. What if their aid is another form of control? Captain Ojuan found herself torn. The Veil Walkers' arrival was a beacon of hope, but also a Pandora's box. Journey to the Veil. The intrepid Dawn changed course, following the Veil Walkers' ship toward the outer reaches of the system, where the veil itself was set to thin. As they traveled, Ojuan's crew experienced strange phenomena. Visions, echoes of memories not their own, fleeting glimpses of other worlds and timelines. The veil was no ordinary boundary. It was a threshold to endless possibility and danger. Revelations beyond reality. At the edge of the veil, High Envoy Cyril guided them through a ritual of awakening. The crew felt their consciousness expand, perceiving layers of reality intertwined, dimensions overlapping like threads in a cosmic tapestry. Cyril revealed the true nature of the Ascended, beings who had once merged with the Veil's power to transcend physical form, guiding evolution across galaxies. But the Shadows had corrupted this power, seeking to rend the veil and plunge the universe into chaos and oblivion. The choice. The Veil Walkers offered the Concord a choice. To embrace the Veil's power would grant them immense abilities, heightened perception, control over matter and energy, even glimpses into possible futures. But it required surrendering a measure of individual autonomy, linking their minds in a collective consciousness. Rejecting the offer meant facing the shadows without this advantage, but retaining freedom in the unpredictability that defined humanity. Debate and decision. Within the intrepid dawn, heated debates unfolded. Dr. Jolan Merrick saw the Veil's power as a scientific breakthrough, a chance to push humanity's evolution beyond limits. Lieutenant Keel feared loss of identity. Ambassador Voss weighed the political consequences. Ojuan called for calm. This decision is not just about power. It's about what we choose to become, a trial of will. Ojuan herself volunteered to undergo the Veil's trial to prove humanity's worth. In a chamber filled with shifting light and sound, she faced visions that tested her resolve, confrontations with past failures, temptations of omnipotence, and fears of losing herself. Through sheer will and belief in humanity's unique spark, she emerged stronger, her mind opened but unbroken. Acceptance and new strength. The Concord Council accepted a limited bond with the Veilwalkers, enough to share knowledge and power without total loss of self. This new strength transformed the Alliance. They gained unprecedented insight into the Shadows' plans and means to counteract their weapons. Humanity's unpredictability blended with the Veilwalkers' transcendence, forging a new path forward. The Shadow Strike. Just as the Alliance adjusted to this new power, the Shadows launched their assault. Space erupted in fire and chaos. The intrepid Dawn and its allies fought fiercely, weaving Veil-enhanced tactics with human ingenuity. A glimpse of victory. The battle was brutal and costly, but the Alliance's new unity and strength turned the tide. The Shadows retreated, their veil of secrecy shattered. Ojuan realized the war was far from over, but a new chapter had begun. Closing. As the stars settled, Ojuan stood once more at the viewport. The Veilwalkers had opened a door, a glimpse beyond the veil of reality and limitation. Humanity's journey was no longer just about survival. It was about embracing their place in a vast, mysterious cosmos and defining their own destiny among the stars. The battle with the Shadows had ended, but the echoes of war still reverberated across the stars. The intrepid Dawn floated in orbit around a serene, blue-green planet, Earth, their home and the birthplace of the spark that now burned brighter than ever. Captain Velith Ojuan stood on the command bridge, looking out at the swirling clouds below. The war had tested humanity and its allies to their limits, but it had also revealed something profound, that the essence of humanity, its creativity, resilience, and indomitable will, was a force no power could easily extinguish. Rebuilding the Concord. The Concord Council convened for a historic summit on Earth, bringing together representatives from every allied race. The scars of conflict were fresh, but so was the hope of a lasting peace. Ambassador Jarek Voss opened the assembly, his voice steady but filled with conviction. We have faced darkness beyond imagining, but together, we have proven that the light of unity and hope can prevail. The council debated how best to rebuild, to ensure the Shadows would never rise again. Plans were made for shared knowledge exchanges, joint defense initiatives, and cultural integration programs, bridges to strengthen bonds across diverse worlds. Humanity's role defined. Dr. Jolan Merrick stood before the assembly, presenting findings from their deep dive into Earth's archives and the Veilwalkers' knowledge. Humanity's unique spark, our creativity, empathy, and unpredictability, is not a flaw, but our greatest asset. It is the seed from which new civilizations and ideas grow. She proposed a bold initiative, a galaxy-wide academy dedicated to nurturing these qualities in all races, a place where potential could be realized beyond constraints. The legacy of the Veilwalkers. High Envoy Cyril addressed the council, her serene presence commanding attention. The Veilwalkers will continue to guide and protect the Veil, the fragile boundary of existence. But true guardianship belongs to those who choose to wield its power responsibly. She turned to Captain Ojuan. You have proven that humanity can walk the line between power and freedom. The Veilwalkers entrust you, and your people with a special role as stewards of balance. A personal moment later, in the quiet of the Earth's ancient forests, Ojuan reflected on how far they had come. She thought of the crew, their sacrifices, their victories, their unwavering spirit. In a holographic message from Lieutenant Mara Keel, her old skeptic friend said, "We may have doubted the Veil Walkers, but you showed us what humanity truly means." Ojuan smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of possibility. The Shadows' last stand. Despite the peace talks, remnants of the Shadows lingered, dark pockets of resistance refusing to accept defeat. Intelligence reported a final strike planned against the Concord's Heartworld. The intrepid Dawn and a coalition fleet prepared for what could be the war's ultimate battle. The final battle. In the void, fleets clashed with fury. The Shadows unleashed ancient, devastating weapons, tearing at reality itself. But the Concord forces, united and empowered by the Veilwalkers' gifts and human ingenuity, countered with brilliant tactics. Captain Ojuan led a daring assault to disable the Shadows' command ship. In the heart of battle, she faced the Shadows' leader, a being twisted by power and hate. Humanity's triumph. Through courage and quick thinking, Ojuan exploited the Shadows' arrogance and used the Veil's power in unexpected ways. The leader was defeated, the Shadows' forces scattered, and the threat finally broken. As the dust settled, cheers erupted across the fleet. Humanity had not only survived, but had risen as a beacon of hope and strength. The spark ignites. Back on Earth, a new symbol was born, a glowing emblem representing the spark of humanity, now embraced as the symbol of the Concord itself. Children of all species gathered under its light, dreaming of a future unbound by fear. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but with unity and the human spirit at its core, it was a future filled with endless possibility. Epilogue. A new dawn. Captain Velith Ojuan stood once more beneath Earth's starry sky. She whispered a vow, not just to protect humanity, but to inspire all beings to embrace their uniqueness, their spark. For the universe was not shaped by gods or shadows, but by those brave enough to shape it themselves. As the first rays of dawn touched the Earth, a new chapter began, one where humanity's story was not just survival, but legacy.